welcome everybody to the fifth roundtable at the Rise World Summit. And it's particularly something that's close to my heart because this is about the Swedish Institute Alumni Network, of which I'm so proud to be a part of. And also because, even more so, because this is the global alumni meet and network. And so there's so many of them who have been, have got involved in and collaborating with each other across the world. So a lot of them working in SDGs, and therefore the thought of having this to understand how they are doing that work and what is happening on that front. So to get us started, I would definitely want to invite Mr. Björn Holmgren, the Consulate General of Sweden in Mumbai, who have always supported the alumni network in all the activities that we do, and to kind of set a little bit of context as well as to give us a welcome, may I please ask Björn to take us forward. Björn, over to you.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to all of you. I understand that some of you are in Mumbai, some are in Europe, some in Mexico. So that's a large time span. And it's really exciting to see that's such an interest, and also that you managed to connect all the different chapters of people from so many chapters. As Karen was very kind to say, I'm a consul here at the Swedish consulate, generally based out of Mumbai here in Western India. We've been working together with the Mumbai chapter, SI chapter, Mumbai chapter for SI Alumni since the chapter was created 2 years back, and we've been collaborating with individuals and organizations even before that. So this is another way for us to support and also to continue the collaboration. So Sweden, when it comes to the SDGs, and even looking back behind, looking at the Millennium Goals, if I guess there's a few of you remembering Millennium Goals quite a few years back. So Sweden has been a eager and a very strong supporter, both in defining and also establishing and now working towards these goals. So Sweden last year came out with a policy to integrate the SDGs as a law in Sweden, with fixing targets and fixing action plans. And actually last week, the Swedish government came out with an action plan with 100 points to set very specific actions on how to move the Swedish society towards a more sustainable society. And some of these actions are about they're all about circular economy, but different aspects of circular economy. And I think that's important to see that as a country, the government, politics does have a very important role to play when it comes to implementation of the SDGs, by setting targets and setting clear rules, and trying to engage companies, citizens, and obviously the civil society. All three components having a really important role to advance the 2030 agenda. So that's a little bit on the overall. I think many of you, being SI alumni, have already come across the Swedish engagement, the agenda we try to encourage and push for. So I shouldn't talk too much about that. I'm sure that you have already you have a better knowledge than I do in this field. I would like to share a few examples of how we work locally here in Mumbai and Western India when it comes to the SDGs and the kind of work we do from the consulate. So a couple of years back, we started a project for women empowerment and upskilling when it comes to women working in factories. So it was a joint project between the consulate, the Swedish Chamber in India, and a group of Swedish companies. Eventually, UN Women came on board, and we managed to kind of pull together a group of quite important and good actors. Obviously, the municipality in the city where the project took place also came on board. So the whole project was about both showcase that women do have a role in industries, can take on kind of untraditional women work, and also to work and to upskill women that did not previously have a fixed remuneration, both by giving a formal training, recognized training, and also to give them an income. So that's something a project that has continued, and which scope is now India-wide, so it's been picked up. That's something we're very glad about. Looking at a second project, we have also launched a sustainability study. So looking at Swedish companies' efforts in India to achieve the SDG goals, and also to give some kind of benchmark to the companies to say that this is the work that has been accomplished and this is what is remaining to be done, but also try to give them some kind of feeling where they are compared to other Indian companies. So that's something we are kind of midway in, and hopefully within this year we'll be able to publish something about it. The last part, which is also something that's ongoing, is that Sweden as an innovation country has been signing MOUs with the Indian government when it comes to innovation. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat at the same time. Is there something I should clarify? Sorry, no. Okay. So most recently we have launched a hackathon. So engaging Swedish companies, Indian students, and it's all about innovation and sustainable living. It's about reducing mortalities in traffic. It's about decreasing pollution. It's about electronic vehicles. It's about moving smarter, and it's about having technology coming in to give us a more sustainable way of doing it. So end of February in India, Swedish Institute is launching quite a big hackathon on the mobility side, which is something that the consulate is heavily involved in. So those three examples are projects that we are very much working on a day-to-day basis. They all kind of jack into the SDG work that the consulate does, that the Swedish government stands for, and also the Agenda 2030 goals that we are trying to push. And obviously, in all these three projects, we work closely with the SI alumni, sometimes as a group, sometimes individual people come in, or individual NGOs. But as a whole, we see the alumni as a key partner, I would say, here in Mumbai, in Western India, for us to reach out, both to understand the context, but also to leverage our work. So maybe to finish off these for a few minutes, I would like to thank, of course, Karen. I would like to thank the organizers of the RISE Summit, and I would like to thank all the participants for coming together. I think it's a great platform. It's a great opportunity to promote the exchange and to see what are the opportunities, and also to obviously share experience between different members and different chapters. So thank you very much, Karen, for having me. I'm handing back the microphone to you.
Thank you so very much, Bjorn. And definitely the support of the consulate is very, very important. And you've always been there. And so we are really very grateful for that. And we look to take forward the message of sustainability, because I think when we were studying in Sweden, when we did our program in Sweden, I think, there was a lot that we learned in that sense about CSR and sustainability, but also contextualizing it to India. And sometimes we like to use this word jugad, which is about the Indian way of doing certain things. And that has also been very, very important for us to achieve a lot of the work that we do on the SDGs, which is not always sometimes easy to do in a country like India. And I'm sure the programs that the consulate is following in India has, gone through those challenges, but also had a lot of successes with their programs. So thank you so much for sharing those with us. And, we look forward to, of course, learning more and partnering more. And partnering more with all our SI alumni, because I think that's the real aim of this session today. And as many of you know who have participated in the past, but also the new alumni who have joined us today from different parts of the world. And I'm really, really excited to see that happening over here. This is an open platform. The RISE World Summit has no panels and no presentations. So we really work in a very, very organic way, and neither are there any so-called experts? This is an open platform for us to really brainstorm and think about ideas. And so the way we really followed through on this conversation is to talk very quickly about each one of us, because of course we need to know about each one of us, right? Without that, it's not going to help very much. So may I quickly request all of you to, those who may have not been there when we started this in the beginning, is to just rename yourself real quick. And I'm going to start with my own self in that case. To write your name, your city, okay? We do not want very much to know from where you are. And last but not the least is your organization, yeah? So let me do that first. And yes, so Mumbai, India, I'm going to put, or maybe country, maybe that might help better, right? So India, and then of course my organization. So do that, and it'll be really nice because we'll get to see how many countries do we have right now with us over here. And the whole RISE Summit is really global in nature. We've got 43 countries counting. I don't know if we've crossed that 43, but at least the last I know of was 43 as the number of countries from which we have people. So good to see. Not yet seeing many renaming themselves. So please do that. I know we have friends from Africa, we have friends from America, from Europe. So I'm so glad to see the alumni joining us. And very important, we have the alumni from across India, because we have different chapters in India as well. India is a big country, and just one chapter would be almost impossible to manage. So it's good to see that we have our alumni members from the different parts of India as well. So thank you. And to get started, as I said, this is an organic conversation. And so please jump in at any time when you want to talk or you want to share your thoughts, right? So we are going to be talking about SDGs, right? And we're talking of SDGs in a context of not just what each SDG is about, but more importantly about the interlinkages of SDGs. I think unfortunately most conversations that we have is always about SDGs as a single vertical. In fact, I want to share this real quick. I remember I was once on a panel with another gentleman who was a very, very senior person. I won't take any names, but he says, we don't believe in the SDGs. And my heart stopped. I was like, we are talking of SDGs, and this gentleman here who's so influential saying we don't believe in the SDGs. And so I couldn't stop. I just said, I just need to know why. I must hear why you say that. And he says it's because it's too much of silos. It's too vertical. And I was like, no. I know that the image looks like one box of 17 pieces, but if you really look at all the targets and the way they are, it's like this round ball of wool that has been completely disheveled and moved around, because they're all so closely integrated and interlinked that you can't work on one SDG and say that I don't touch any other SDG at all. I doubt it. So how many of you here, firstly, has ever had a conversation on SDG linkages? Can I have some noise on the chat box, please? Because that's the best way and the quickest way we can get as many voices in the room, because we're already at 47 participants. So, it'll be really great to get a quick round. How many of you? Oh my gosh, we have got someone who says all the time. That's one extreme, right? So 11 SDGs for energy and poverty. Thank you. Yes. Okay. SDG 11. Thank you. Yes. Yes, very good. I'm so glad. This is amazing. No wonder you're so interested in the topic, because you've already been speaking about it quite often. So more often than not, I find that people tell me they've not spoken about interlinkages. They really look at it really and say, oh, I work on SDG 5, for gender, or I work on SDG 1 on no poverty, and that's how they 10 or even 12, right? So it's great to see. Okay, great. All right. So there are people who have been talking about. The second thing I want to say is, how many of you are actually working on the SDGs as single individual? And I completely understand that some of you may not be working directly on SDG or the social development space. I do understand that. But if you can maybe just say which is the SDGs you are, kind of touching on, would be great. Either one or multiple. I mean, that's also fine. So can we get some sense of the room over here very quickly? all based on the client. Yes, absolutely, I agree. We do have programs that are cross-cutting and programs that are based on the clients we talk to. Anybody else, please? Okay, multiple SDGs. Great, great. Hi, Sumit. Yes, thank you for putting that out. Okay, so that's the end of our current amount of, what should I say, checking on the room, what should I say, kind of what is the diversity in the room. And it looks like it's quite diverse because I have not seen many SDGs being repeated either over here. So that looks really diverse. So to get started the conversation, as I said, we talk about challenges, okay, when we get started. The format or the kind of interactive methodology we use is really talking about challenges, right? So we've already set the context that there are people who are working on SDGs. We've already set the context that people have been working on interlinkages between the SDGs in their work. So given that's the case, can I just have maybe someone who could come in and talk a little about the challenges they have faced when they have kind of worked on SDGs in their work, as well as try to do the measurements around them. So anyone, please jump in, feel free. This is an open conversation. There are no panels. And so this is your roundtable. It's your voice. So please do come in, please. Beros, you unmuted yourself. Do you want to say something?
Yeah.
Sure. It'll be nice if you can just introduce yourself from
so,
which chapter.
I have been consulting on. Okay. Sorry. I am Beros Gazdar from Swedish Institute, 2011 batch. What else? And I've been working on sustainability for the last 15, 18 years now, I think, no, 15 years now. So right now I'm consulting. I used to be with Mahindra and Mahindra, now I'm consulting. So talking about SDGs, Sharon, we are looking at like this interconnectedness of the SDGs. And one thing that the company is doing a lot of work in is a logistics company, and therefore doing a lot of work with the driver community and typically the CSR. And now to get the SDG leverage and we've made it more strategic in the sense that the entire industry, we've kind of included the entire logistics industry into this. So it's not as if we only look at our own drivers, but everybody else. And so we're kind of, and then taken poverty and used to be with Mahindra, sort of hunger, those kind of SDGs, and connected them with equitable employment and, sorry, I forget the SDG number, but the one that talks about sustainable cities and communities. So it's still on the, we're still working around it. The challenge really is to find out the right kind of, what should I say, the matrix to kind of actually, what should I say, take targets and take sort of and see how we can link it with how the Niti Aayog is looking at it, and how we can really connect it. I think that's one of the biggest challenge, perhaps, I don't know, everybody must be facing, that how will India finally kind of say that, yes, this is what we have done in this SDG from all the, outcomes of the work done by various companies. So this is what we're working on right now.
Great. Thanks, Beros, for sharing that. Yes, it is a challenge. It's not easy to achieve the targets, and if we go beyond the target, we're talking of indicators, right? So it doesn't stop at just the target. So yeah, we need to make that happen, and it's going to take all of us. So it's a big challenge, no doubt about it. Yes, Shilpa, can you please join in? And yes, we do have a mix of alumni and some non-alumni as well with us, and we welcome them because they are also experts in their field. So if you're not an alumni, that's perfectly fine. So please go ahead. Yeah.
Thanks, Karen, for giving me the opportunity. I am basically a development health consultant, and I'm working since past 10 years in the development sector space. And I represent here Khushi Mr. Kapil Dev Foundation as an organization. Yeah. Karen, here, like I have been working in the in this sector in public health, in nutrition, in education. So mostly, and I deal with a lot of corporates, while implementing their programs, while discussing, conceptualizing these programs, and there is a and also various institutions also, and there's a wide difference which I have always, seen while doing that kind of intervention with different partners, different stakeholders. With especially in India, if I talk about the experience which I have faced, is that the certain corporates, it is like for them, they are the CSR is a new ball game, and what they expect is a quick turnover in terms of indicators when they say that we need quick numbers. And if you see the SDG number one, very one first SDG, that is for hunger, that represents no hunger. For that, it requires, a big, at least a 3 to 5 years time frame. You need to, invest in so much so that you can, reach that curve to see that kind of a change which you have envisaged and the kind of efforts which you have put in. With the vis-a-vis, if you see the other, if you see SDG 4, which is for quality education, in education, yes, you can see quick numbers in terms of the improvement in the assessment levels of a child, but I don't know how sustainable it is, because if the continuity of education is left at in the middle, then obviously that assessment will the improvement in the assessment will go will see a decline. So I think with the respect to the various stakeholders, especially the people who are giving the grants to the not-for-profits or to other institutions, they should also apprise themselves of the SDGs, why it is important, and what kind of indicators they should look into, and for how much time they should invest it into.
Right, great. So thank you very much. I think we've started with India, obviously, because we are over here. But let's try and be good hosts and help get some of the guests from other countries come into the conversation. Yeah. So maybe we could look at Miguel, either you or then Axel, if you are ready to share maybe some of the challenges that you are finding in your countries around the SDGs. So go for it.
Yes, of course, Karen. Thank you. I would like to thank you, especially in the first place, for the kind invitation to join this roundtable. I think it's very productive to have these conversations from participants from all over the world. As a geologist, I joined the UNESCO Global Geoparks program for 5 years ago. And as you know, the UNESCO has also adopted the SDG agenda. And UNESCO Global Geoparks are especially devoted to accomplish some of the sustainable development goals. In spite of that, there are many colleagues from Mexico or from elsewhere that are actually questioning if we could actually accomplish the sustainable development goals within the 9 years now we have until 2030. Because in order to achieve that, as you were saying, we have to develop strategies, we have to develop and work towards specific targets, but also to develop metrics. And how do we develop them? Do we have the infrastructure and the methodology to do that? How can we relate the metrics of one territory to another? I think there is a big challenge in terms of metrics, so that we can actually see how sustainability is reflecting in our territories. And just ending my quick participation in this regard, sustainable development is not a new concept. It was developed in the 1987 during the report of Our Common Future. So it is more than ever a concept that has very much importance for nowadays activities, and that's the challenge we are facing now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really, that tells us you're doing some really great work, and I hope we get to know more and more about it. so that we can actually explore certain collaborations down the path. I was hoping that Axon could speak a little bit to us, but I believe he's having some problem with his mic. So he's going to put it on the chat box. But Axon, maybe I'm going to, in any case, spotlight you if you start your video whenever you are comfortable. Yeah. In the meanwhile, maybe we can move back again to one of our Indian alumni and look at Francis or George. One of you would like to say a few things about the SDGs and the work that you're doing. Francis, would you like to go? Or is George there?
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. I'm George Joseph, Chairperson, Sweden Alumni Network India, Kerala chapter. So I'm glad to address you. So in the field of sustainable development goals, the Kerala chapter last year conducted an international seminar on climate change. And we invited several experts in the field from the forestry section, an expert from oceanography department of the Cochin University, and like that. And it was a big success. And of course, we in the Kerala chapter focus on education as a sustainable development goal because we are all educators. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much, George. Yes, Kerala has been at the forefront of a lot of sustainability initiatives, and it's really great to see. And the SI alumni have been so involved with it, right? I think last year we all did those SDG events, and I think there was such a super success, right? Because most of the alumni are involved in the sustainable development goals. So that's great. Yeah. So can we have anybody else who's maybe done some work but looked at the challenges again from the SDG lenses?
Hi, Karen. Deanne here.
Oh, great, Deanne. Yes, please come in.
All right. Hi, everyone. So my name is Deanne, and I'm from Mumbai, India, and I run an organization called Red is the New Green. And a lot of our work involves menstrual health. We conduct education sessions, we install vending machines, and we also talk about the waste which is generated. In short, I talk about periods 24/7. And when it came to the SDGs, along with my team, we really realized that while it's very obvious that menstrual health, especially for girls and boys, it's related to our goals of no poverty, it's related to our good health and also gender equality, we decided to start mapping out all 17 SDGs and their linkages of each of these goals with menstrual health. And the connections were so amazing because we never thought that, say, for instance, a goal like life under the sea is also linked with a topic like menstrual health or clean energy. And once we started mapping this out, we realized that, okay, there are these really large gaps. For example, when we talk about life under the sea, we need to look at the waste. With menstrual waste, again, this is a challenge we faced where there was no data to show that, okay, this is the amount of waste which gets into the sea. This is how much bioplastics are then released, and then this is how much the production or the fish population has reduced. Finding those linkages and gaps to then take it to the decision makers became very essential for us. So we then started working backwards, where we try to understand, okay, how does one even quantify what this waste could be? We went to manufacturers and asked, can you reduce the plastic content in your menstrual products? So I think the challenges are plenty, and we're still trying to figure out how. So for many of our goals and many of our linkages, we realized that we were stuck on a few administrative challenges or few technical challenges. So I'm so happy to be part of this call because I'm already getting so many ideas to learn to make connections and then to help mitigate some of these challenges we faced with the mapping. So I think thank you so much for this opportunity and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Diane. Your passion and commitment is always, always inspiring. So great to have you with us, of course. Yeah. So any more examples of how you are using, and who would have thought, right, that we could actually, kind of map menstrual hygiene to every single SDG, and that's really, really amazing. And what is this that we have here? Someone's sharing something?
Yeah. I see. Good morning. Good evening, madam.
Yeah.
I am Dr. Ramurthy.
Yes.
I am Dr. Ramurthy, madam. I am from Hyderabad. I am from State Forest Department, madam. And actually, we are working on life on land and water, especially with forest, consent to forest and wildlife conservation. And this is actually a biodiversity point of view. Majority of the biodiversity exists in the forest, and actually a lot can be done in this area, madam. And see, especially my work is related to the forest. Means actually I'm also using a lot of GIS and remote sensing. And in this using GIS, I developed a solution called Vanasri, madam. Actually, this is a online solution to map the old forest records into the converting into the new geo coordinates format, and it is quite useful, and it is working for the last 7 years, and it's a global product almost, and throughout India it is functioning, madam. And I'm very happy to introduce this Vanasri and also several forestry initiatives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramamurthy. Please do put it in the chat box. Yeah, do share information about this, because I'm sure others would also be interested in learning more about this. And yes, you're right. Our biodiversity is our land and water, underwater and on land. So we need to take care of it, and any efforts that are happening in that space, it'll be great to know more about it. So please do put it on the chat. I only was a little taken back because one of the things that we are very proud about in the RISE World Summit is that we have no panels and no presentations, because we believe that only when we talk like this one-on-one can we really learn more and more about each other, and hopefully find the ways that we could partner and do projects and more together, right? So collaboration comes from talking, and then of course learning as well. So do share on the chat box, and I'm happy to kind of look at it further. Great. So from challenges, I'm now going to kind of move to capabilities. Yeah, because so we've heard of some of the challenges to really look at the SDGs and the interlinkages. What are some of the capabilities that exist, okay, that we can use? And just now, what Ramamurthy just said was about technology solutions using GIS. I think it's really important that the more we start bringing technology into our solutions, and see how can we be tech enabled in everything we're doing, I think that's the only answer to scaling our programs as well as making them more efficient. So anybody here in the group who has been using technology in their programs in a big way or small way, it doesn't matter. That's not the criteria, but perhaps we can talk about technology. Anybody at all? Okay, not too much technology. Is that the case? Okay, fair enough. Well, in that case, then that's a challenge. We just discovered another challenge that we have. Why do we not have technology in that case? I'm going to ask that question. In that, since most of us here are not using technology in our programs, can I get an understanding as to like what is it? Okay. So I've got Jindra who from Prague who says that she is using technology. So Jindra, would you like to come in and maybe share a little bit about what and how you using technology in your programs?
So thank you. It's not so much me, but one of my clients, or we're doing some research for the World Bank, and I work on post-project evaluation to actually look and see how sustained things are. And they've started doing some remote sensing, looking at the biodiversity changes from the end of project to several years post-project, 5, 7, 10 years post-project, looking at whether I think it's in, I think this is in Vietnam, around Vietnam, the degree to which the area is greener and so forth. But I always say we have to go do field work. You actually need to trace the contribution or the attribution to the project itself, because there could be lots of reasons why their project area 5, 7 years later would be green that may have nothing to do with their programming. So with some caution, it's happening a bit in my field. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, thank you. Yes, and yeah, I mean, definitely when you're working on large projects, then, that will become a need of the hour. And so it's a challenge, and maybe sometimes funding is the challenge too, because we might want to bring it in, but not get a chance to do that. So great. Yes, Deepali, you wanted to say something about technology and the way you are using it. We can definitely talk about that.
As a tech company, as a very small tech company, we are a group of, actually it's not a company so much as to group of individuals who are just passionate about developing the technologies in order to bring in changes. And all, like, I can only state 2 or 3 technologies or 2 or 3 projects that we are working, which are relate to several of these SDGs that are there. So for example, right now, previous sessions you would remember me saying that we're working on the plastic biodegradation testing. So there are these benchmarks set up by the American research institutes, and then OECD and ASTM standards, which will tell you that how much plastic is biodegradable, which will ensure that the amount of plastic that is going into the marine environment will be limited, or how much it is been allowed. So that is one part of the testing part that we are engaged with. But as a technology experts, or other part of our passionate projects are on the technologies to develop oil and water separation techniques, so that these belch water, or where the crude oil extraction happens at that sites where there is a loss of biodiversity, or it affects the other areas of, like, birds or fishes and all that. So if there is a good separation that happens, or you can limit that limit the spread of that extracted crude oil to the areas where it would affect the other organisms, that would help. So oil water separation technology is something that we are working on, so that also deals with how can we get in or recycle the water so that we get a clean water. So that is, say, SDG number 6. And what we are working with marine environment is the SDG number 14, that is life below water. We are also working with industries who have problems with a contaminated land. So we are working with on land. So, and none of these are separate. All, like, in the chat I had put that from 3 till 16, I guess, all of them are interlinked. You cannot separate one from another. And all of these, when we are talking about, when we are asking for fundings for this, or when we are putting or pitching these ideas or technologies to the industries, there is also a element of legal this thing. So you cannot, and the peace that comes from it, like the mental peace that we get, or everything, like, so yeah. You can, every of these SDGs are interlinked. And I attended this session. I'm attending the sessions because you had told, you had told in the last session also that with this session I would be able to actually map it out and explore it even further. So thank you.
We are going to be doing that separately because we have already done one part of it during the registration time itself, where we've asked you what is the kind of SDG you are working in, and what is the SDG that you are kind of focused on directly as well as indirectly. So some part of the SDG mapping is already started, but we do want to do a lot more than that, and we will continue work, because there are many people who may have not opted to look at this in initial stage, but hopefully after this conversation will be interested in doing that as well. So yes, Axon, thank you so much. Yes, from Zambia. Incidentally, I grew up in Zambia, so it's so much more personal as well having you here with us, Axon. And for us, we have focused so much on poverty reduction, sustainable development, and human rights. So we have done seminars and campaigns in this regard, but with the onset of COVID-19 has really reduced our pace, but regardless, we have continued and adapted. Perfect. I mean, kudos to you for doing that, Axon. And currently, we're just finished working on an animation to share COVID-19 information in 3 main local languages. So the emphasis is showing how pandemics such as COVID-19 are linked to how we live and interact with our environment. We hope to expand and include more SDGs. Thank you so much, Axon. Absolutely. I think everything we do is related to SDGs and interrelated between them as well. So thank you for sharing that with us. Miguel, you wanted to say something real quick. Do you want to go next? And then I think I'll bring in Mr. Kumar as well. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Karan. Just a quick word on the aspect of capabilities, and I just wanted to say that capabilities and capacity building is also very fundamental for achieving the goals. But I think sometimes capacity building activities or capabilities I think they must be based on something, and that something is the reality of the territories in which we are currently living. And one aspect of those capacity building activities in order to achieve the goals or the targets is to use our heritage, the heritage of our territories. What is the natural heritage of our territories? There is beautiful landscapes or biodiversity. Let's use it. Is there intangible heritage, language, or customs? Let's use it on our capacity buildings. And I think because the times we are living, one of the aspects would be working towards resilience, or the capacity to overcome difficult situations. And I think one of possible solutions is to use our heritage of our territories. Thank you.
Oh, I never thought of that perspective. I don't know how many of y'all found that fascinating, but we really don't think about that, right? From a local capacity and a language perspective, how much it helps us to, achieve our SDGs. So thank you very much, Miguel, for bringing that perspective into the conversation, because it definitely made me start thinking afresh and anew on some of the things that we're doing. So I'm going to ask Mr. Kumar to come in. He has also been posting some really interesting stuff on the chat box. And again, I'm going to request everybody, please keep the comments coming in, because we definitely want to hear from all of you as much as we can. Mr. Kumar, over to you, please. Yeah. Mr. Kumar? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, hi. Actually, the thing is that the concept of sustainability actually was first touted in 1978 when Dana Meadows first talked about it. It's very, the way she put it is, people will find it very difficult to understand something if they cannot visualize it. If I tell you that poverty is bad, it is very difficult to understand what is poverty. But if we actually put some numbers to it, it makes it a big difference. For example, if we say in terms of greenhouse gas emission, or we have a threshold of 3 billion tons of carbon which we can emit by 2030. 3 billion seems like a huge number. and we say, fine, I mean, we have plenty of leg room to work with. But if I come in and say that of the 3 billion, we have already emitted 2.7 billion and we have only 0.3 billion tons left, which we can emit over the next 10 years, then it shocks you. It's the same with SDGs. We don't have a perspective on these SDGs. We say quality of education, but there is no definition for the quality of education. We talk about reducing the acid level in the oceans. We don't have a perspective on how we are going to reduce the acid level in the ocean. We talk about maintaining biodiversity in the world. Yet, we are the generation responsible for causing the maximum extinction of species on this earth. So unless this perspective comes into the SDGs, we really don't know. We're just playing. We're children picking up pebbles from the seashore. Without this perspective, we really don't. I don't even think we are moving in the right direction. I mean, I'm not being cynical. I'm being very open here, because all that we are doing is sort of greenwashing, sort of like a feel-good factor. I did my bit today for society. Yeah, but is it in the right direction? Is it the right thing to have been done? Nobody knows because nobody is aware of it. And I mean, it's not from lack of trying, it's from lack of knowledge. For me, I mean, even now we have arguments going on whether we need a 1.5 degree global warming, or whether we can tolerate a 2-degree global warming, or whether it is 1.2 degree global warming. Why can't we just accept scientific evidence for what it is? Scientific evidence. You can't question scientific evidence. Unfortunately, we like to question things when they are not to our liking. And that is the problem with the SDGs. And that's one of the reasons why I believe that and that's the biggest challenge for anyone working in the area of SDGs, is when you're going to be questioned on scientific data, your SDGs are bound to be doomed. I mean, 10 years down the line, we will have a version 2.0. This is what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think from one Kumar, I'm going to go to another Kumar. And you know, you should see the chat box, because so many are agreeing with you. And I can see that you've touched a real chord with everybody in the room. Thank you very much, Ms. Kumar. And I'm going to ask, as I said, from one Kumar to another Kumar. So Kumar Manish, one of our very, very active members, SI Alumni members, would you like to say a few words in terms of SDGs, in terms of your work, and what are the kind of challenges and your work around that, please? Kumar, over to you. Jason, I think over to you. We'll come back to Kumar really quick. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jason. I'm from Michigan. I'm a participant with LATRA International Public Movement on our project Creative Society, and its relevancies to the SDGs that are established by many organizations and institutions around the world as it pertains to our common problems. The thing is I feel that too much emphasis is placed on one person or one organization solving it, and not enough about openness of information and sharing of technological advances, and then putting our attention collectively towards this goal. So I think as a starting point, our best point would be to work together collectively to actionalize these things. And Kumar, who had just spoken, he had brought up an interesting point, to not be cynical. He had addressed that in saying that the SDGs, they're actionable goals, but we're not doing enough together. And so in a little bit, we're going to, there's a group roundtable for the Creative Society. And the reason I bring that up is because it's an inclusive project all over the world that addresses every single one of these SDGs, the goals. And one of the number one factors that humanity faces isn't just a water shortage or food shortage. It's our inability to effectively work together to solve these problems that aren't pertainable to just one country or one location. They're problems that are faced by the entire humanity. And unfortunately, I will disagree with Mr. Kumar about people's need to address or question science. The problem with the science is there's too much politicalness and divisiveness within the area of climate change and what we should do about it. We're told that by lessening our consumption of a certain product will somehow help, and that's not true. It's our inability, for example, for the United States to share its technological advancements with India, or Germany's inability to share its technological advancements with India, or China's inability to share its technological advances. And so when we have this openness of collective minds working towards one goal, we will solve all these SDGs collectively. And I really feel that and believe that. Thank you.
That's great, Jason. Please do share your details on the chat. I would, in fact, suggest that everyone does put in some of your information, whether it's your website, or anything else that you'd like to give, and even if it's your LinkedIn, anything, because the more we can help to connect between the alumni, between alumni and non-alumni, I think it'll be amazing to have those kind of connections happening through this roundtable. Yes, Jindra, I can see your hand up. Please do come in.
So Mr. Kumar is absolutely right. Oh my gosh, I am so tired of unsubstantiated claims of working toward the SDGs. I can't tell you how crazy this makes me. People say, oh yes, we're doing the SDGs. I'm like, great, how much? What have you changed? By when? And as the last speaker said, who are you collaborating with? How are you leveraging their resources to make things better? How are you making sure that your investments are sustainable over the long term? How are they resilient to climate change? So many companies, there was a nice, on the benchmarking discussion, there was a nice woman who talked about the cement industry collaborating. She didn't say how, but as cement is really terrible for the environment in many ways, it's great that they're collaborating on hopefully making things less CO2 emission intensive. But for me, making statements about impact and about, sustainability is very difficult because while very well-meaning, I want proof. As an evaluator, I want proof. Thank you very much.
So as an evaluator, I think you should definitely join us in tomorrow morning's call at 9 o'clock Indian time, which will be very early in Prague. So I'm not going to insist. Yes, I know. But that's going to be purely on monitoring and evaluation. So it's been really wonderful to have you. But anyway, thank you.
But it's been great. Thank you very much.
I'm so glad you've really been a very active participant in all the other roundtables as well. So great. Let's come back again to India maybe a little bit and see what some of our other alumni members would like to kind of maybe share. Do we have, is there someone from one of the Indian alumni who would like to kind of share something with us in their work in terms of both challenges and capabilities? Or am I going to have to call you out? Yeah. All right. Is there anybody else who wants to speak in that case? Well, I'm more than happy to give it. Dr. Javed, no. All right.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. Please go ahead.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, this is Javed, and I'm from Kargil in Ladakh.
Wow.
Yeah, I was part of YCF 2014, and I'm teaching in University of Ladakh. We are working on biodiversity conservation and peace building. Since you know that this part of the world is on the border, so much of the biodiversity falls on both sides of the line of control. Let's say, for example, one of the indigenous species animals, the snow leopard. This animal has its habitat on both sides of India and Pakistan, and the line of control passes through the habitat. So basically, we are campaigning and building awareness with the youth and others, calling that biodiversity conservation provides an opportunity for both the countries, to collaborate, to build peace for both the nations.
Yes. So I can imagine that that's not an easy place to kind of also get done. So
Yeah.
challenges would be many.
So So the conflict situation becomes one of the major challenges. But we have been getting very positive and very active responses from the youths, and we run a children newspaper called the Peace Gong, which basically provides a platform to children and youth across borders, to contribute their thoughts on peace and other important initiatives of SDGs. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. I see we have Amrit with us from Business Sweden. Amrit, would you like to say a little bit and give us your perspective about SDGs and the Business Sweden perspective on that, please?
Actually, I'm working on road safety along with Red Cross and BSDMA. My finding was, because earlier during my job, I was working for disability, certification of assistive devices was an important factor. Apart from that, if we want to continue with a project, we need resources and funds. And unless the government itself is interested, we can't develop. Second thing is that we are into training of people for first aid and first responders. This awareness, especially in South Asian countries, is very important. And for this awareness, we have to sensitize the people first. That if somebody meets with an accident, he has to be transferred immediately. And insurance companies, they are silent on these issues. We are tapping them for payment of compensation. And unless people know about these things, it becomes important that they should understand that insurance compensation is their right after meeting the accident, because all vehicles are insured. This is all what I want to share.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, road safety, very important part of the SDGs, without a doubt. And, we don't tend to think of it as an SDG really, but how are we ever going to have sustainable cities and communities if we don't take care of road safety? How are we going to look at innovation and infrastructure if we don't have road safety? So I think, we don't realize these things, but the interlinkages, which is really the heart of what we're trying to get at, is to understand there are many issues that can be directly linked to some SDGs, but there are also many that are there that can get linked to multiple SDGs. So the more we kind of dig deeper to look at the indicators and targets, I think the better we can kind of bring them in. Yes.
You mentioned about technology. So
yes.
Rehabilitation technology itself is a subject.
Correct.
Where SDG can, you have to sustain that, like assessment of loss.
Sure.
And engineering, like people don't know what are the safety implements in their vehicles. They have to understand. We are sensitizing the people who are selling vehicles that they must explain what are the safety features in their vehicles, especially buses and trucks. We want to rope in commercial vehicles drivers that they should have at least one first responder kit for first aid, and they should know first aid, because taxi drivers, especially Uber, has accepted our proposal and they are going to do with it. This is also very important.
Great. Thank you so very much for sharing that with us. Definitely makes a lot of sense to look at these aspects. Manish, may I request you to come in and share a little bit about your work, because it's so fascinating and there's so few of us in it. So thank you very much for joining us, and over to you, please.
Okay. So one of the things I would like to point out is on the antimicrobial resistance and its role in sustainable developmental goals. Because we have recent times due to COVID, We all know there is an invisible world which is in and around us and between friends and people and family, which is really created a new way of living for us and has made us to become aware of its presence. And it is these microbes, of course, what COVID is caused by a virus, but bacteria are the ones which become resistant to the antibiotics if they are misused. See, for example, SDG 1 in SDG 1, which endeavors to create a world without poverty, but at AMR can force millions of people into poverty if we do not address it. It can even it affects SDG 10 to reduce inequality within and among countries, because the low income countries are the ones which get more affected than the wealthy countries. We look at SDG 3, good health and well-being. Now, with impacts on children, the pneumonia which causes to them, all right, and in adults, the post-surgical infections, the antimicrobial resistant infections are the ones which complicate, success of these kind of surgeries. So my point here is SDGs are not exclusive of microbial, participation. We have ignored that which is not visible to us, and we think it doesn't exist. So one of the things we work on is in AMR is the, either discovery or in the stewardship. We sensitize the clinicians and the healthcare workers why not to use an antibiotic, when to use an antibiotic, and how to use an antibiotic. There are certain antibiotics, they're just prescribed, but not informed to the patient how to take it. Because if you take some antibiotics before food, their efficacy is almost negligible. It just goes down. But if some things have taken after food, the food is going to interfere with its absorption. So a lot of science is involved in the way we consume these antibiotics. So antimicrobial stewardship, I am part of that mission since 2008. We've been working in the stewardship, sensitizing people around the world and in India. And in India, it is very difficult because the pharmacist himself becomes a clinician in administering these antibiotics. So we need to sensitize people from that level to the regulators level. So these are the three SDGs I said, are connected with my field of work.
Great. Thank you so very much. Yeah, who would think, right? I mean, we don't realize the way these things are interconnected and how it has an impact on the life. And, we were just talking in an earlier roundtable on SDG accountability, that impacts can be both, intended and unintended. And impact can be also both positive as well as negative. We don't tend to think of it this way. We normally tend to focus on the intended and we talk about the positive, but we don't look at it as a negative impact or an unintended impact. So thank you so much, Manish, for kind of highlighting that point with us. So we have Carolina from Prague, who I am going to now call in to share a little about her work and what are the challenges and capabilities that she has seen with us on the SDGs.
Thanks a lot, and I also thank very much to Dr. Manish, because he mentioned a real topic that touches me, because I'm a pharmacologist, and it is a very important topic of antibiotics in this world, definitely. And what I wanted to say, I'm also a volunteer of Creative Society Project, it's JSONETS, and why I decided to join it, because all these problems that we share here, and I'm really very happy to see so many people involved in so many beautiful projects, helping other people, helping other communities, and this is so fascinating. And why I decided to join particularly this project is that, well, because it's uniting all of us. And maybe I will just say a few words, invite you to the roundtable, which will start in a few minutes, and discuss the principles of the project, because all of you, what you are doing, this is really amazing. And joining Creative Society is a little, just takes a little, and this is what all we can do, except what we do also in our other projects, because this is like, the root, because in the consumerist format we'll still have the problems that exist today. Well, I don't know, the developing countries, big differences between countries. Why do they exist? Because we have the consumerist format. And Creative Society is actually all about the root, changing the root. So I invite all of you, and thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Carolina. That was great to hear about your work. Do share on the chat, because the more we hear, the more we are going to connect. Yeah. So great. Okay. And maybe back to some more alumni from India. Let me see who can I bring into the conversation now. Or, of course, as I keep saying, please put your hands up, and I'm more than happy to have. So Neha, I don't know if it's possible for you to speak now. I know you're traveling and you're still doing the call. So thank you very much for doing that. But if you can join and speak a few words, that'll be great. Or we could maybe have either Renuka or Rashmi. Do you all want to share something about the challenges and the capabilities of your work, and how do they relate to the SDGs? Pranati is on. Great, Pranati.
Hello.
Yes, Pranati, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I missed out. I just rejoined. I went out of network. So if you could just.
Okay. Okay, glad you could join back in. Yeah, so do you want to share something about your work and how it's related to the SDGs, or any challenges related with your work?
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I've just put off my video because of light issues and connectivity. But yeah, so we've been working on a sector called Sustain and Save, which is into sustainable development. And we work about how waste management and waste plays an important role in our lives, and how people in the construction sector. So I'm from the construction sector, and how construction sector labor is looked at in India, and how you can upscale them. So we have an organization called Kushal, which works on that. And that is, basically looking at the basic needs and how you can upscale them. So we've been working on that in a big way. The second thing that we look at is at Sustain and Save, which is about sustainable development and holistic economic development when it comes to sustainable lifestyle. Because we all talk about, using products which are recyclable, which are upcycled. But are we really doing it? Are we really being able to achieve circular economy, which is cost effective, and able to achieve these goals of sustainable development by using the right products and the right resources that the kind of plastic that's being generated in today's time and era is far beyond what we could have even imagined. So these are some things that we've been doing at Sustain and Save, and here we work with the youth. So the youth is the power of tomorrow is what we look at, and we work with the youth. We have about 5,000 plus youth working with us at different times on different aspects of sustainable development from time to time, or we through this entire organization called Sustain and Save, which believes in sustainability as a holistic perspective, and our aim here is to create entrepreneurs in the sustainable sector. So we can try and look at creating entrepreneurs in this sector. So that is what we've been doing at Sustain and Save.
Great, thank you so very much. Pranati, yes, there is a lot to be learned and thought from what you just said, where we said, entrepreneurship and livelihoods that can come out of the programs that are focused on the SDGs. There are a lot of opportunity to get what you call it, as you said, entrepreneurship around that. So thank you for sharing that. Yes, Dhanashree, you had your hands up, and Renuka, I'll come immediately after that to you. Yeah, go ahead, Dhanashree, please share. I'm sorry, we can't hear you. You've muted yourself. No, I'm sorry, we still cannot hear you, Dhanashree. Can you test your this thing and we'll come back to you? Do you want to try one more time? Sorry. Okay, why don't you try and test out your mic and check the settings? Maybe there is something wrong with the setting, and I'm sure you'll be able to talk. Yeah, and in the meantime, we'll go ahead with Renuka. Renuka, why don't you please share with us? And once Renuka is done, we'll come back to Dhanashree, right? Okay, great. Okay, Renuka, please, over to you.
Am I audible?
Yes, 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 absolutely.
Okay, hello all. So it's nice to connect here, and I'm working into the healthcare, working on the predictive, preventive, and personalized healthcare, wherein we use a lot of biodiversity, whether it comes from the single algae to the medicinal plant, which is the traditional Indian medicinal knowledge. So we develop the actives from these medicinal plants that are known for various health conditions. We can utilize that. But the main sustainable issue comes in to have these plant in a continuous supply. So, but that's where it comes. If you go for the tree plant, which takes so many years to develop, and how do you go about that? So we look after that, mostly the plants. We find an alternative. We can do the backward integration of cultivation and all. So that kind of project we do. We also work on the algal marine biology. We use those algal organism for omega-3 fatty acid, whether it's a DHA or EPA, good for brain health. So we use the technology, use the bioreactors in developing that, and putting the product into the market, and take care of the nature that provides what we take from nature. We give it back to the nature as well. So that's where we do the integration in.
So true, so true. Thank you very much for sharing that. And, I'm just amazed at the diversity of the topics and the background and the work that most of our alumni are doing. And it's so wonderful to see that, because I think also what happens is, because of the diversity, you get an opportunity to see different perspectives, and also a way to partner with others, which you may not have thought about in normal terms, right? So thank you very much, Renuka, for sharing that with us. Hi, Dhanashri, do you want to try one more time? Shall we do that? No. I'm really sorry, Dhanashri. Can you try to log in with your phone, maybe? You could log out and log in on your phone. Would that help you? Oh, you're on your phone? Okay, so I think we have the same problem with Axon as well from Zambia. So maybe you might have to type on the chat box. I'm really sorry, but that could be the only way for us to understand a little bit, what you're doing. Yeah, great. So do put it on the chat box, and maybe hopefully we can try one more time a little later than that. Yes, Kripanand, you have your hand up. Please please go ahead.
Hey, good evening all. It's nice to connect, and thank you for the opportunity.
Great.
I work on a sustainability goal of energy, and I am basically involved in reduction of energy in corporate environments. So we have built a piece of software with which we have some astounding data that it's possible for a corporate to reduce close to 300 tons of carbon footprint every year if they were to implement a simple solution on turning off computers when they are not in use.
Wow. That's a simple thing.
For about 1,000 computers, you can reduce 300 kgs of carbon footprint. So I'm the architect of the solution, and I have been spearheading this for the last 7-8 years now. And we have large enterprises who are using the solution. Recently, we have also got into the foray of energy storage, which has helped us come out with a clear-cut mechanism by which we can bring down the carbon footprint in the enterprises. While I agree that it's important for us to have a larger sustainability goal which has metrics, if each of the organizations who are involved in any sustainability activity can pick up those low-hanging fruits which have metrics that can be proven, I think it will be a fantastic way going forward to achieve the sustainability goals in the longer perspective.
Sure, great. Thank you very much. And I hope you're also there. I think you are, right, for the climate action roundtable tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken.
Unfortunately, I might have to slip out, but I will try to be there.
Oh my goodness me!
Please just come up.
Join, because that roundtable is going to be completely focused on energy. So do try and make it.
Yeah, I will. I have already earmarked that.
Great, great. And so we also have Mayesha here from Bangladesh. Mayesha, would you like to say a few words and share about your work? Yeah. Mayesha? Okay. Not really saying anything. All right. Do we have any other alumni member who would like to talk? And also non-alumni, please, as I said, this is an open platform for both alumni and non-alumni to interact. I don't know, Jana, can we have you maybe say a few words? Jana Kaz? No, so, okay.
Sorry, here I am. I was muted, looking for the button.
It does all the time, isn't it?
Yeah. Thank you so much for letting me speak. I am Jana Katz. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, in the USA. I'm one of the participants of the Creative Society Project that was initiated on the platform of Alatra International Public Movement. And so the project, we're actually doing a table right now. There's a chat table that's open where we're going to be talking about the project. It's about uniting everyone around one goal, bringing about a peaceful evolution to the world, in the new format of society, where the human life has the highest value, and society does everything to create conditions for an individual to live their best life, basically, to have their, all the opportunities to implement their creative abilities and talents, and, this way they can give back to the society, actually, so society will do for a human, and then human will do for the society. So
great.
That's, in a nutshell, General.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. I appreciate it.
So, Dr. Elvina, I hope you are there, because I definitely like to have you share your work with a lot of the members in the room right now. So, would you like to share, please, Dr. Elvina?
Yeah, thanks, Karen. Yeah, but actually, as you also know, we are just like, very, very fresh people in all these things, though we are from education and everything seems to be very interesting, yet we need to start. But one thing I would like to share is that recently we conducted one workshop for our future teachers, those who are student teachers. And it was all about science films and how you can teach SDGs through science films. So we conducted workshops for our teachers, irrespective of their specialization, how they can use these films and go and create awareness about SDGs among the students. So that is something that is just maybe a baby step from our side. We are just trying to get into it, but thanks for providing very enriching experience. I'm really
thank you.
thankful.
I think that's the beauty of roundtables, right? We all get to learn and share, and it doesn't really matter whether we are fresh or we are baked.
Yes, that's true. It's learning at the end of the day. Yeah.
Learning at the end of the day. So great. Yeah, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you.
So, Anupama, would you like to go? I'm sorry, is there someone who's raised their hand?
Yes, madam. This is Dr. Ramurthy, madam.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can I get a chance? Actually, this is in response to Dr. Elvina, madam. Actually, we have to concentrate a lot on educating the school children and college students in these aspects. And actually, in Telangana, we have been taking up Vanadarshini program, madam. Vanadarshini is a program wherein actually the neighborhood village school children will be taken to the nearby forests and live experience and live shows and snake shows and other kinds of all the aspects actually, how the fire is controlled, how the nurseries are raised, etc. Such kind of exposure is being given. Some thousands of such programs have been carried out. Actually, one program by name Telanganaku Haritaharam is a flagship program of the government, madam. Actually, many of the audience may be knowing about this thing. Actually, nearly some crores, nearly 200 crores of plants have been planted, and some lakhs of hectares of forest is also being rejuvenated under various projects. And especially coming to this ma'am's interaction, this exposure to the students, actually, see, at the low age, see, if the children imbibe certain kind of experiences, that goes a long way, madam, actually. Okay,
Yes,
we all
yes.
know. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's so true, right? Students and especially student teachers have long-term impact on what we teach and what we do. So I'm going to ask Bjorn is posting some really interesting stuff on the chat box, and that's part of our collaborative opportunities. As I said, this is the last and final section of the challenges, the capabilities, and then the collaborative opportunities. So Bjorn is already giving us an opportunity here to do something with the Swedish consulate, and so we'd be really happy to hear more, Bjorn, on this. Can you join us, please, and let us know? And Maisha, I will bring
Yes,
you
of
in.
course.
Yeah. And Maisha, I'll bring you in after this. Yeah. Glad you could come back and resolve your network issues. Great. Bjorn, go ahead, please.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I'm taking this opportunity to also to do some advertisement for the upcoming hackathon. So it's the last weekend of February. I've been posting on the chat for all of you that have not really seen it. So please go on the chat to look it up. We are starting to look for mentorship to the hackathon. So the thematic of the hackathon is mobility hack, change the way you move. That's kind of the title. There will be opportunities for experts with any kind of expertise within the field of mobility in a very large sense to come in to do mentorship on the hackathon. We have preliminary discussions identified the Alumni Network as a very good source of experts, both relating to field of expertise, obviously, but also for your knowledge in kind of team working, and obviously for those of you based in India, but not exclusively in India, about the Indian and Swedish environment when it comes to traffic and also the linkage to the SDGs. As Karen started out saying before, the hack is very clearly linked to the SDGs when it comes to smart cities. It's about pollution, it's about decreasing accidents, it's about improving how we interact, how we move, and how we kind of function within the society. So it's the scope is very large. Very quickly, the reason we have mentors. So basically, in a hackathon, you have companies putting up challenges, technical challenges they need support on. You have students or entrepreneurs coming in with ideas or already ready solutions, and the role of a mentor is to be support to the hack teams, mainly students and entrepreneurs, during the 48 hours of the hack, to give support, either technical support or kind of knowledge about the environment or knowledge about how to deliver a solution. So I would invite all of you that are interested to go on the website that I've posted in the chat to check it up. Right now, it's you can sign up to show your interest, and the hack team will get back to you once they see there's relevance in your expertise. So please, everyone, if you like hack, if you like mobility, and if you want to engage with students, please sign up.
Great. Thanks so much, Bjorn, for sharing this opportunity. As I said, that's the real aim of the roundtable, to have collaborative opportunities. But I do have a basic question to you, Bjorn. Is this only for the SI alumni, or is this also applicable for anybody at all to be able to be a part of it?
It's applicable for, so everyone can sign up to make a declaration of interest, and the hack team will kind of pull out rather
Right.
the mantras they would like to see in the hack. So right now it's an expression of interest,
Oh,
but
excellent.
it's open to everyone.
Excellent. Thank you. That really makes it sound so great, because I know that we have both a mix of, alumni as well as non-alumni participants in this roundtable. So I think this is an excellent opportunity, and I'm going to post it once again, because I can see there are some more new people who have joined our call. I tell you, believe me, the RISE Summit is literally going to be a 24-hour event. It is a 36-hour event, but I never expected that we'd have this kind of turnover, that people will join roundtables this late in the night. So yeah, I've posted the earlier post of Beyond once more. So anyone who's interested in engaging with the consulate directly, and who's interested, as he said, in the right expertise of mobility, so then definitely go ahead and do become a mentor and register yourself. But Björn, I don't see the what you call it, the website mentioned. Did I?
It's above my first post, isn't it?
Yeah, I just copied both your posts. Yes. No, it's not there.
It should be. Otherwise, I can
Your first
repost if
post.
you don't find it.
This is your first post, and then this is your second post. See?
Okay, sorry, that's my mistake. Let me put it up again.
No, not at all. It's good to make sure that we get the information out, so that you have a great target audience of people working on the SDGs. And if this is related to the SDGs, then it would be awesome to have them. Yeah, great.
Yeah, now it's
All
out.
right. Oh, perfect. Yes. So we have the website over here. So please do join and go ahead. Then. Okay.
So within the hackathon, you can clearly link it to sustainable cities, renewable energy, to health, to a lot of targets. Okay, so I mean, there's a wide range of things you can pick up.
Great. Thank you so much. And we're coming to the end actually of our roundtable. So I do want to encourage anybody who has not yet had a chance to speak and would like to speak, because we definitely don't want to put you in a spot, but anybody who'd like to speak, to please start, waking up and bring your voice to the table. Yeah. So Maisha, may I invite you to please say a few words? You are from Bangladesh, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, thank you very much, Karen, for having me. And hello, everyone. So basically, I'm from Dhaka, Bangladesh, and a little about myself. I'm working in BRAC, and sorry, I caught a cold, so I'm like not coming on video today. I'm sorry about that. Yes.
No, don't worry. Get well soon, though.
Okay, so I'm working there as a safeguarding specialist in BRAC. And if any of you are curious about what safeguarding, so safeguarding is basically termed as protection against any kinds of abuses, say mental or physical. So for example, exploitation, harassment, then neglect, discrimination, and so on. So basically what we have been doing is we have been implementing the safeguarding mechanism all over BRAC within Bangladesh, as well as other parts of the world where BRAC is actually operating. So even disability inclusion and child protection all actually fall under the safeguarding umbrella. And I personally believe, besides that, for building a society, youth, children, they play a major role. I mean, they're the nation builders of tomorrow. So if we educate them about, say, safeguarding, about SDGs, and all these different areas from a very young age, I personally believe that they're going to be more aware about all these issues, and all these will be embedded and built in within their values. So I think that it leads in the future for a more successful, for a more sustainable tomorrow in these areas. So yes, that's all from me. Thank you.
So, I have not been talking of our work, Maisha, but one of the things we very recently did was a roundtable explicitly for principals of schools on safeguarding. Yeah. So you and me should definitely be connecting. A little bit
Yes.
about me. I think I better do talk a little bit about me, because I since I'm the moderator, I don't tend to talk about our work in most of the roundtables. But I am going to do this here because, as I said, the SI alumni, I am an SI alumni, so I should, right? Definitely. So
Of
we
course.
cross the spectrum of women social green. But you know what? I'm so sorry. Rashmi's had a hand up, and I should definitely give her the chance first to talk. And I will definitely talk a little bit about our work as well, and go further. But Rashmi, please, over to you, definitely. And I'm sorry I started off.
Hi, Karen. Hi, everybody. Good evening. And good afternoon to others behind us. Thank you for, a fabulous discussion and a great, introductory move of the RISE. This is the first time I'm attending a RISE initiative. So glad to be part of it through the Alumni Network. I work with innovation on technology innovations with a definite agenda to promote greener, cleaner, more efficient technologies. So I work with one of the UN agencies called the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and we primarily work with industries. But my work has been to support and promote and bring more cleaner, greener, more efficient innovators working in the juncture of agriculture and industry, primarily because of the intensity of resources these sectors tend to utilize. And, so we look at, as a part of our work, we look at the impact of these technologies in the long run in achieving SDGs, which is quite interlinked to our work. What is interesting is, increasingly economic development, or the challenges of economic development in a country like ours, which faces serious resource crunches, or South Asia at large. There, on one hand, we have large population, extreme poverty at many parts of the country, and climate change threats increasingly affecting the country, fatalities and disruption of economic activity. The losses has generated every year through climate change. I wouldn't say climate change, but climate catastrophes, because using climate change in a broad sense is quite cliched in that sense. But we need to get masses out of poverty, better education, better access to health, and better living conditions. So we understand from our point of work, we look at how industrial activities can be much more greener, so that these all of us have a better access to a better living, a better lifestyle, and a better, everybody deserves to deserves cleaner, greener environments to live in, and we live long enough, not like struggling. I live in Delhi, and most of the year we struggle through pollution challenges, and now the pollution numbers, the AQI levels are so high. So at one hand, when you look at this, on one hand you have first generation entrepreneurs, extremely educated, internationally educated, coming back to India to be part of this greener, cleaner movement. And they look at, and they're the evangelists of looking at this SDGs as from an integrated point of view, that, no SDG stand on its own. They understand their educational opportunities have given them such a brilliant platform to understand and to bring in, best of the class technologies to the country. While that is going on, the country should also absolutely be alert to the idea that India could move into a space of deindustrialization. That means we have been always trying to be industrialized, but we can actually max out before actually tapping into the opportunities of industrialization. And that would leave us in a stagnancy, and that would be such a terrible place to be if we get into stagnancy of deindustrialization. That means there are no more opportunities for us to grow. in a sustainable way, and we will still have masses and living in the worst conditions while all of us are socioeconomic and seriously damaged environmental conditions. So I think the point I'm trying to make is the SDGs would have to be in the focus for all our actions in all kind of sectors that we work with, and that is evident from the discussions from the previous speakers on the panel. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Rashmi. It's there is a lot of work to be done on innovations, especially with related to the SDGs. And I do want to just maybe say one thing over here, that as part of our format of the Rise World Summit, as I said, we have the no panels, no presentation, we have this 3C channels, capabilities, and then of course collaboration, yeah, as the format methodology. But we also have one more thing, and that's and if those of you who have been with me on some of the other roundtables, forgive me for the repetition, but for those who are coming in for the first time, we have something that is really special for all of you, and that's gifts. I'm sure all of us love gifts, right? Is that not correct? Yeah. And what is gifts basically is really about gender, innovation, finance, technology, and sustainable solutions. I think these are such critical aspects. And gender, when we talk about gender, we just don't mean only about gender per se, but representative of vulnerable groups, because we talk about, no one left behind as part of your SDGs. So if that's the case, then we really need to make sure that we are as inclusive as we can get. And so that's one of the big things that we definitely do encourage that people think of these points when brainstorming and for collaborative opportunities. Yeah. And so I have Anupama, who wanted to speak a little bit about her work. And then Alex, I will come to you. We are coming to the absolute end of our 2 hours. You never realize how quickly it goes, right? When we sit for webinars and we sit for panels, it's like, you just switch off, right? So, but this has been excellent and amazing having this conversation. So Anupama, over to you.
Hi, Karen. Hi, everyone. Thanks. Sorry, it's the fag end of my day as well, and I'm practically ready for bed, Karen. But having said that, yeah, you spoke about inclusion and gender, and as we all know, that SDG 5 is pretty much the foundational goal to help us achieve all our other goals. So it's been the focus area for us at Reboot. So Reboot is essentially an equity and an inclusion advisory firm. We work with corporates to create inclusive, equitable cultures. We work with women and we work with men. One of the realizations that has come to us organically working in this space over the years has been the importance of engaging men in the workforce. And when I say that, I mean engaging them in the gender equality discourse, because in Indian corporate environment, we tend to do a lot of talk around gender diversity with women, but we generally keep the men out of the room. So in fact, that's something I've spoken with Karen about in the past, and organizations like the Swedish Consulate General in Mumbai have organized some amazing father caregiver campaigns, which are really useful in sort of creating a space where we can let men express themselves in the way they want to be without, stereotyping them or superimposing these notions of masculinities that societies have from them. And this is what we spoke about earlier in a chat table too. So yeah, this is one area that we work on. We work with women in terms of mentorship, coaching, and upskilling them for the workforce. And we also work with men in engaging them, making them aware of women's lived experiences so that we can develop more empathy amongst men for women's experience and how radically different they are from men's experiences of living and accessing public spaces and work. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Anupama. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, gender is a cross-cutting issue. There is no two ways about it. And if we hold up half the sky, then definitely a lot depends on us, right? And so getting the gender conversation going is critical. And it's been a core part of Sweden, because I don't know how many of you know this, but Sweden was the first country to actually declare a feminist policy, and that the government was a feminist government. So I think there's a huge focus on gender issues with Sweden, and so it's very close to everybody's heart on this. Yes, Alex, thank you so much for being patient and allowing us this little time. But yeah, do please let us know and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Hello. So my name is Alexander. So I'm from Germany. I am working in the area of health. So I'm a bioinformatician, and we like all of our efforts actually from, I think, all over the world are now towards going towards the current pandemic situation. And this is actually an example of how fast people can act against some stuff, like how easily we can find solutions when we are united. Because like a lot of my friends and colleagues from Creative Society project, where I'm also a participant, like it's clearly shows me how powerful it is when we are uniting our attention toward one goal, right? Like it's amazing summit that you are doing right now. You assembling people together, allow them to talk about their projects, what they do, because a lot of people will then inspire and do also the same. And actually that's what we are doing as well. We are creating such kind of platform in Creative Society project. We have done a lot of game of professionals where people can express and talk about like issues like in many areas that usually people cannot talk because of some reason, but we just allow them to do that. We have also done a global survey and discussing which world people would like to live in. And based on these, based on their answers, we come up with 8 foundations. I posted now the chat. And these 8 foundations we are now want to implement in the main law, in constitutions of all the countries. And we are talking to people because like all these foundations are towards human life, human freedom, that, for example, all of the expenses, like all these activities of the governments, like scientific, industrial, and technological, should be aimed, for example,
We've lost you, Alex. Hello?
Alex, we lost you.
Okay. Maybe he'll come back. Okay, actually we need to I'm so sorry, excuse me. Look at that, attack at the end. Okay, so I'm going to actually, unfortunately, I also have to come to a close because we have our next roundtable up after this. But I do want to maybe share one last small thing about us, because iDobro and Rise Infinity Foundation, which are my organizations, and we are a hybrid organization, we work across the spectrum of women's social green issues, which pretty much covers the entire range of the SDGs in that sense. And the way we do it is through 3 verticals, which we call this entrepreneurship, which is the basic, and that is why I was relating so much to what Prananthi said earlier. But entrepreneurship, citizenship, and then partnerships. And as you can see, partnership is really about what the Rise Summit is all about. Entrepreneurship is what we work in iDobro predominantly, and then in terms of ownership and citizenship, we work under the foundation, which is the Rise Infinity Foundation. So I would love to obviously partner and collaborate with as many alumni as possible, and non-alumni are anyway a part of my life. So do connect with us, and do let us know how we can probably look and do something together. And I really thank the Swedish Consulate for sharing that opportunity. There is also a wonderful toolkit by SI, which is called the Achieving the SDG goals. And that's again another great toolkit which can be done in partnership with the consulate and embassies in different countries. So do explore that and have a look and see what you can probably do. Yeah, I'm going to close now with a little bit of housekeeping. This thing, first and foremost, we are creating LinkedIn groups to keep the RISE Summit participants together, because as I said, this is not an event, this is a platform, and we want the conversations to continue because they've just begun. Yeah. The other thing is that I hope you're checking out all the agendas, the event platform, and taking part in many, many other things that are happening in the event. I know many of you have already participated in quite a few different things. Please continue to do so. We in fact have programming right through the night as well. So if at all you are up to it, please do join us. And from other time zones, if that suits your time zone, do check out the agenda and continue to stay with us in some activity or the other. So I think that's it from me. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Mr. Kumar, for the high energy session. Yes, you bring part of that energy does come from you as well. So thank you also for doing that. And thank you everybody for the wonderful conversation that we have. If anyone has some last thoughts or feedback or comments that you'd like to share with the group regarding the roundtable, regarding anything else that we discussed, please do put it on the chat, and we will definitely come back to you. Thank you. Thank you, Miguel. Yes, absolutely. Mexico, Zambia, we are very happy to see you all. Prague, Bangladesh. Where else did we go? Oh my goodness me. Germany, Switzerland, the US. Yeah, I mean, that's amazing, amazing. Thank you all very, very much. And this is Kiran Shaiva once again, and ready to sign off. Bye-bye. See you all. Oh, I'm sorry, we need to take a photograph. Oh my goodness me, look at me, I completely forgot. Can I quickly do that really fast in 2 seconds? Can everybody turn on their videos? And we will do this really quick. I am so sorry. Videos on, please. Videos on. Great, great, great. Videos on. Yes, and a thumbs up. Thank you, Carolina, for reminding us about that. And a thumbs up too. Okay, here goes. 1, 2, 3.